Good morning. I'm Janie Parrish with the Wadsworth Area Chamber of Commerce, and you are zooming into business, and you're zooming into the north end of Wadsworth to Liberty Residence. And we're here with Bev Long, which I'm sure so many of you know. And Bev Long is the executive director at Liberty Residence. So good morning, Bev.
Good morning.
Oh
How are
my
you?
God. I think there's got to be 3 people in Wadsworth that don't know who you are. Yeah.
Oh, stop.
I'm gonna stop because not only, have you worked at Liberty Residence for a long time, but you've been so involved in the community in so many different ways. And
Yeah.
that's the truth. Yep. Okay, so first of all, let's start. Tell us about Liberty Residence.
Yeah. So Liberty Residence here is up here on the north end, like you had mentioned. We have 2 buildings. Those of you that don't know, we have been here for 30 years. We have independent living and we have an assisted living, 2 buildings. Um, we're really here to help seniors when they're getting to that stage where they're thinking maybe it's time to, downsize and maybe let us take care of some of the household chores that get to be too much, for sure. So the independent is 3 meals a day, weekly housekeeping, activities, transportation, and we're staffed 24/7. And then the assisted, that's when we would help out with more medication management, help with bathing, dressing, 24-hour nursing. And we're Medicaid certified, which is a really big deal in Medina County because there are very few places that take as many Medicaid or take as many Medicaid individuals as we do.
Oh, how
For
nice.
people,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a comfort because probably the first thing, I would say probably, other than what can you offer pricing and the fear of what happens if we run out of money is almost in everybody's mind.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And of course you want the best care for your parents and money's always an issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome because then they wouldn't have to move if the money does run out.
And I like to educate folks on this because I guess, this was something I always thought that for my own personal family, and that's how I ended up here because this was a personal calling. But, I think a lot of people are under the assumption that if my loved one goes, if they're flipped to Medicaid, that the care won't be as good or, they won't get the same quality. And the state of Ohio actually does a really fabulous job of making sure all the guidelines are met. And they really, really, really do a great job on that to make sure that your loved one is taken care of, whether they have money or not. And I think that's important because I think that was something I always had a misnomer about, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Mhm.
So other than the Medicaid, accepting Medicaid, what's so unique about Liberty Residence? Now, I have to tell you, Deb, I can tell you a few unique things because my parents lived at Liberty Residence. So I can tell you quite a few things that were unique about it. But from your perspective, what's unique?
So I loved your mom. Winnie was absolutely one of the sweetest souls. And so there's so many that have come through, but your mom always left an imprint on my heart. So, I think there's several things that are unique about us. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Leatherman, because he had the foresight to build buildings like this before everybody was doing it, right? He did a really great job as far as that goes of, seeing where that was headed. And now everybody's got independent and assisted living. But think about that for a minute. So I think because, we have that longevity, we really have like all of the nuts and bolts handled. But, I think that having 2 different buildings really makes a huge difference. It's 2 different climates. There are a lot of communities out there that have the assisted and the independent together. And that sometimes is a much harder pill to swallow because a lot of people feel they are their surroundings. And so it's much easier to accept a independent situation as opposed to an assisted, right?
Mhm.
So I think that is absolutely important. I think our property is absolutely lovely. And I think that our apartments are extremely large and spacious for the price. I think we are a good value. You know, we may
Very
not be the
nice.
newest on the block. We may not have the big, you know, we may not have all of these new buildings, but when people come in, I think they think they're at home because it feels homey. And that's what I feel are probably some of the biggest perks. Uh, I could go on and on about our staff because we've had a year from, you know, hell to speak of, and our staff has just been amazing.
Oh,
So, but
I have to tell you, Bev, I miss the parties.
oh my God, the
Yeah,
parties. Do
it
we
was,
know how to throw parties?
you know how to throw a great party, and I sure miss those. That's
Well, I'm
for
going to tell
sure.
you what, we're going to try and put that luau on. We actually put it on the calendar with a tentative, right? Because we're hopeful. We're
Okay,
hopeful.
all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Now, now, Bev, why do you love what you do?
So, and I think for me, like I had said earlier, it was a personal calling. So when my grandparents, so both my mom and dad are one of five children, and both my mom and dad were like, you know, the ones that stepped up and took care of their mom and dads.
Mhm.
And we didn't know about any of these options. We didn't know that there was an independent or assisted living. I wish I would have known sooner. And it would have been so nice to have someone, you know, to help guide my parents. And so I think about that as I tour every family about where they're coming from. And, you know, most times it's crisis situation to some degree, you know, and I really, to me, that is the best part of the job. In fact, that was the one of the things when I became the executive director, I really emphasized that I did not want to lose that touch because that is what fuels my love tank.
There you
Keep me
go.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Bev, how can people find Liberty residents?
Okay. So we're really easy to find, honestly. We're right off High Street. If everybody knows where Walmart is, basically you would go on the other side of the road, right? So that is Smoke Rise Drive. And if you go down the road a mile to the right, it's going to be your independent. And then the assisted sits right on the corner of Freedom and Smoke Rise. And actually, this is how long we've all been here. Lots of people will say, are you next to like where the old Kmart used to be? And I'm like, yes. Do you know what I mean? It's so funny, right?
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
history of Wadsworth that we have.
very nice.
So yeah.
Oh, well, Bev, thank you for all you do. On a personal note, thank you for all you did for my family. And thank you for all you do for the community, not only at Liberty Residence, but out in the community as well. You've always been well known for your personal volunteerism. So thank you so much.
You are very welcome. I love Wadsworth. I can't say enough about it.
Perfect. We like
Yep.
hearing that. So, okay, thank you. And when that luau comes, I'm going to be there.
Are you gonna wear a grass skirt?
Of course.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, everybody out there in Chamberlain, y'all heard it here first.
I'm with you.
All right,
Okay.
honey.
Thank you so much. Okay.
All right, we will talk soon.